That is the main thing with this good-looking man, Campbell Hastie of Hastie
Kia ora.
Mortgages. Kia ora, lovely to see you. This is our last live together where he is going to be talking about his team and, well, a little bit of the backstory, as in how did he get to have a team, and that little bit of that process. If you do have a question for Campbell and on any of the channels where you see this good-looking man, you can comment below with a question and he will come back to you with that. But let's dive into it. How are you today, Campbell?
And we were talking about this just off camera. I'm feeling a little bit frustrated today, but otherwise in good spirits, I have to say. So thank you.
Excellent. We won't go into what the frustrations are,
No.
the trials and tribulations of a mortgage advisor, an experienced mortgage advisor, and what goes on in your business. But there are people in your business. Let's talk about you first. Can you share a few things about you that perhaps the audience doesn't know?
Well, some of the audience will know some of these things. In terms of where I'm from, my background, my personal background. So I've come from a little town called Opotiki on the East Coast. They like to say it's the gateway to the East Coast or to the East Cape. And I was back there a couple of years ago now, admittedly, but this was pre-COVID. And believe it or not, they still ride horses down the main street. That was it's like being in Tūhoe country, although you're not. That's what it was like when I was a kid growing up there. And so it's a place that's got that rural atmosphere going on. It's dairy farming country, it's kiwi fruit country. You've got the coast and the sea and all the beautiful outdoor pursuits that you could think of. And when I think of summer, I think of sunshine, beach in a rural community, because that reflects where I'm from. So that's probably the first thing, and that people should know. And I think what that does is as a person, that kind of stuff shapes you. And so I'm not a city slicker, although I've been living in Auckland for the last 30 years or so. I've never considered myself to be that, if you like. At heart, I'm I suppose a country boy. And I still love getting back to those kinds of places that remind me of those early days. I think that tells a lot about a person, where they were born, where they come from. It just helps frame things up for people,
And what brought you to the Big Smoke?
I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to a boarding school, and I came to Auckland when I was 9 and attended that school all the way through to seventh form. It was
yes,
showing
in those days, seventh form, year 13.
Is it year 13? I think.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's seventh form.
It's seventh
The people that matter know what seventh form means. And that was Dilworth School, and it was an immense privilege to be educated there. And I basically stayed in Auckland from that point on. I went to university, managed to get a couple of degrees there, got a science degree and a commerce degree. Cool. And then in terms of work history, got my first real job, as it were, at an insurance company called Sovereign. And they don't exist in name anymore. They go under the AIA banner these days. But started out there and really cut my teeth in financial services under the life insurance banner, which is interesting, and found my way into mortgages, essentially because I got a bit pissed off with my boss at not Sovereign, but the subsequent company that I had moved to by then, and essentially told him to stick it. And the next move after that was into mortgage broking. So in professional terms, one of the interesting things about me is that I've never worked for a bank, unlike many of my other mortgage broking compadres. They've generally come out of a mobile mortgage manager role. I haven't, and I think that means that I actually come to it with a unique perspective, and that is. That perspective is that really my focus is about the customer. I don't have the frame of a corporate banking background. And I know everyone says, "Oh, we do it for our customer, and our customer comes first," and all that usual, bullshit. But the reality is that is the only frame within which I can come to it, and that's quite a unique proposition.
Got it.
So there's a bit about yours truly.
And as he sips a nice strong cup of tea, what's the backstory to having a team?
There's a well-known saying that, and forgive me, I think I'll get this right. Team is an acronym for together everyone achieves more. You probably heard that. More of that.
Very good.
Make you throw up. This sort of woke sayings, but it's true. I got to a point in 2020 or prior to, sort of pre-pandemic, where I was getting busier and busier, and I was running harder and harder. And the reality is, you can only run so hard before the wheels start to fall off. And thankfully, I didn't run that hard and got to a point where the wheels fell off. But I realized that I needed to get some help in terms of processing the bits and pieces that we need to for somebody's mortgage application, helping them buy a house, etc. So I took on a staff member at that point, and it was amazing, actually, the extra capacity having an extra person. And Sandy was her name, and at that time, Sandy was part-time, but it felt like she was full-time in terms of the capacity that it gave me, so that I could actually run a whole lot harder, or run at the same pace, but focus on some things while Sandy did some of the other stuff.
Yeah.
So we and the acronym "Together Everyone Achieves More" absolutely came true. Because we smashed some personal records as far as new business volume and so on are concerned in my little world, not any market records. And then, as it turned out, I during that same period, my former business, my business partnership at the time, I broke that apart. I dissolved that because it was no longer working for me. And that was amicable. We speak today. There's nothing wrong there. But that freed me up even more. I could have tried to simply run harder rather than get the assistance that I actually needed. But that would have been a really dumb move. So I'm glad I didn't do that. And as 2021 and the current year have flowed through, we've literally just got busier and busier, and you just can't do it all yourself.
100%. Was there a process that you went through, or was that was kind of the process that when you obviously, from a leadership perspective, you went, okay, cool, there's more hands to do more work, and yeah, you, like you said, you were able to just do more.
If I've got my small business owner's hat on, what I came to realize was that I needed to identify all of the little parts of the process that we go through, write it down, and essentially create a job description out of it. Sorry, let me get rid of that. And essentially create a job description out of it, which I could then give to these other people who would join me to do those things. So, right, no problem to do it. And this is the beauty of being able to just run hard.
Yep.
But you come up against that limit, and so you've got to be able to give instruction to the other people who are going to be on your team as to what they need to do, and then essentially leave them to it. Let them get on, qualified and motivated into it.
Yep.
So yeah, that process review was all about identifying exactly what the different parts of the job were, so that other people could do them. And that was actually a revelation for me as a one-man band or a 1.5-man band to get to that point of understanding. So that's the process review we had to go through, and it was actually a hell of a learning.
Did you find that you obviously grew as a leader?
Well, I think you just have to. You do by default. It's not because that was something I wanted to do, but there was some change that had to be made, and change is uncomfortable. And so, yeah, you do just grow.
And you've
Yeah.
empowered them to do just that. Are there days that you kind of wonder and you go, oh my goodness, how did I get here?
Yeah. Yes, there are.
but you've empowered them to take over
Yeah.
and just run the show, right? And they all happen to be women. Did you
Yeah.
design that?
No, no, not at all. There's a lot of talk, and it's become really prevalent. You know, this is the Me Too movement, showing its influence, if you like, and the whole diversity thing, and there should be an even balance of ethnicity and gender and so on. It it just so happens in the team Hastie world that we don't have any balance on any of those kinds of scores. Um, we're a team of 5 with one bloke and one Maori, and you're looking at him. The the rest are Caucasian women of different ages, and that's just how it came together. Um, because I'm not particularly concerned about that diversity, as it were. These ladies have been hired on merit just because they're good.
Well,
I don't.
let's
Yeah.
should we find out? Well, from an audience perspective, we want to go. Well, who are these lovely ladies?
Who
How
are
about we?
these
How
ladies?
about we? How about we start with Kirsty? Tell me
Yeah.
about Kirsty.
So Kirsty is the newest member of Team Hastie. She also happens to be Mrs. Hastie. She comes from a long corporate background in life insurance, and her specialty is underwriting. So if someone came, an insurance advisor came to you, filled out an application, said, "Here, we're going to put some life insurance in place." Kirsty was the person who would assess it and determine whether or not you should have any. So it's a really technical role, and it comes with a lot of the requirement to have an analytical mind, and she's definitely got that. And so she brings that horsepower, if you like, when it comes to putting loan applications together for us here at Team Hastie. That's what she does for us.
And has there been, working with your spouse, working with your partner, any challenges there?
That's a really great question. And the answer is yes and no. No, in the sense that I had identified, as we were talking before, the
Good.
different parts of the process. And so I was able to say to Kirsty, this is your bit, this is my bit, and we don't cross, right?
Gotcha.
So you don't get that conflict and a lot of people have asked about what's it like working with your wife, or ask Kirsty what's it like working with Cam. Is it, we actually don't cross because we've got separate roles, and I think that's really important. That's a key tip for anyone who's thinking of working with their spouse, or already do. Just have that separation.
And do you have that? And do you have that separation? You leave the business at 5 p.m. and you're talking something completely different in the evening.
No, we don't. No, and I reckon that's a wonderful thing about having the different roles within the business.
Okay.
Although we're working on the same customers, having the different roles means we have the different perspectives. And actually, we usually go for an evening walk, or sometimes a morning walk, and we'll thrash these things out. We live it and we breathe it.
Nice.
We do. So no, we don't. We actually don't turn it off at 5 o'clock. It's in our minds, and we live it every day. So yeah.
The dedication to the cause. You have 3 other members. Talk to me about Jo. What does she do, and how does she fit into the team?
Jo is a big cog in our machine. She is supremely important to what we do. She does, if you like, the same role as Kirsty in the sense of putting applications together and loan applications together and analysing them. But where Kirsty has maybe 6 months of experience doing that, Jo has more like 6 years. Actually, it's more than that. And she lives and breathes it too. If there's a sticky deal that we're just having trouble, bringing the dots together on, and we haven't resolved it on a Friday, she'll be thinking about it over the weekend. She sort of lives and breathes it too. And Yeah, Joe is a hugely important part of the team and a part of the business of that because of that knowledge and experience that she brings to every loan application. She's seen millions of them, just like I have, and that kind of experience is hard to come by. It really is, and she gets a whole lot of she sets a whole lot of tasks and reminders and things which keep me on track. No, seriously, and this is part of the team approach. I will never remember to do all of the things that I need to do, but Joe will have made a task and it'll pop up in a week's time. Don't forget to call so and so about such and such, and that helps us be really good from a customer service perspective. People feel like they know us. We know them, should I say? And we do, but we know them really well because we've just got systems and processes that
And
help
this
us
is
with that.
and this is also an opportunity for your customers, your prospects, to find out who your team is. We have two more, Paula.
Yeah, Paula. So Paula is another mortgage advisor in our business. There's two of us, myself, Paula. She has far less experience than me. But interestingly, she got her qualifications before I did, strangely,
Oh,
her formal qualifications. Yeah, the certificates. And I'll show you this thing here, right?
oh,
She got one of those before I did. She was minted before me. Um, So, she provides contact with customers. She's able to provide advice to those customers when it comes to things like what to do at mortgage rollover time, stuff like that. She's just getting her teeth into it and doing a really good job. She's got a really good manner about her, and I think it sounds silly, but it's actually really important because the issues we talk about with people not just big numbers, but they're big emotions too. How there is that emotional connection when you're talking about property because you're talking about a home, not a house.
mhm.
So you've got to be able to connect in that way. Paul is actually in a previous life comes out of the early childcare industry as a trained nanny. So you would expect her to have a way of putting things, and she does. She brings that to the role as well. So that's Paula. Yeah,
You reminded me of that famous quote from that Australian movie, The Castle. It's a home. Have you seen that? Have you seen that movie, The Castle?
the Serenity.
The Serenity. It's just wonderful. I'm sorry, random question, off the chart, but it's a home, not a house. And your last person is Cherie. I know
Is she-
Cherie.
yeah. So Cherie is, I want to say, a 30-year veteran in the
Wow.
financial services industry. um, and she handles all of the refix contact with customers. She's not advising as such, but she's certainly in contact with people and helps them through that decision making process. And if there's any advice that's needed, well, that comes through to Paula and myself. Um, but yeah, she brings that pedigree, I suppose you could say. Her brother's a mortgage advisor as well, got a really successful business. Her partner is in commercial finance as well, so she's really living and
Wow.
breathing it as well. And it was approximately this time last year when interest rates started to really rocket up and our phones were running hot, and I just needed some help to deal with the volume of people saying, "What on earth should I do? How the hell do I manage my mortgage, etc." And a friend of mine had his ears to the ground, and Cherie was looking for something to do after a business she was involved in stopped. That got COVIDized, unfortunately,
Yep.
and so it was a bit of serendipity, really. She was looking around, so was I, and we just happened to be connected, and it's been fantastic. She's taken that workload off the rest of us, so we can focus on other things. Hmm.
So you've got all the ingredients in a team to achieve more, and a great team to support you to help people get mortgages, get money to buy a house.
Indeed. One of the big learnings that I've taken away from building the team to where it is now is actually one of the most important things I could do was to just get out of the bloody way. Uh, a lot of the processes we had, and we did a process review, a systems review, would have been back in March of this year, March, April.
Mm-hmm.
And what we discovered was that all roads led to Campbell. And so while there were other people doing other things, they all sort of boomeranged back to me, and they would get stuck there. So that rather than things moving on like they should, they were just getting stuck. And then the pile on my desk was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Quite the opposite of what we were after. So we changed a few things and we empowered the girls to do those things, or more of those things, provided a bit of training where it was needed. And so I'm not the center of the universe anymore, much to my dismay. But actually, by empowering the team, the girls, to do those things, we've been freed up, and life is not quite as stressful as what it was. And it just gives you more capacity to do other things. You can focus more closely on those other things while they focus on their bit of the job. And you really do get that together everyone achieves more thing going. It sounds so simple when you see it written on a piece of paper, but putting it into practice and having sufficient faith, I'm talking about me, to let other people do stuff was quite it was a difficult thing to get my head around. But as soon as I did it, I thought to myself, why on earth haven't I done this years ago? So I'm like, Jesus, Campbell, you are the bloody problem. Get out of the way, boy, and let these other people who are probably more qualified and better able in certain areas, just let them do it.
So if you're watching this live and you have a question around getting money to buy a house, there is not just Campbell, there is Kirsty, Joe, Paula, and Cherie, people who are doing great things within Hastie Mortgages. Thank you for introducing them. If you have a question for Campbell, as I said at the top of the interview, then pop it in the comment section below and reach out. HastieMortgages.co.nz. I feel like an advertorial, don't I? It's like, I think I might have done this before with a microphone and saying a few words.
Exactly. I think you have done it before, haven't you? Yeah. No, thank you. Lovely to be here again. Cheers, brother.
All right. Cheers, Ben. Thank you.